Hi there, Tad Hargrave from marketingforhippies.com, and I'm here with a little puttering session case study. Made some notes that I wanted to share. So this is a woman who called me who lives in a rural community, and she does forest bathing. And it's nominally sponsored by the parks, but she doesn't get a lot of people out at it. So the first challenge, of course, with something like forest bathing is very few people know what it is. And you could imagine a lot of the senses, well, I can go for a walk anytime, so why would I need to pay somebody to go for a walk with me? Won't I get all the benefits just by going out there? And so as we spoke, I said, this is one of those classic situations of you've got Island A, which is the problem that your people are struggling with. There's Island B, where they want to get to, and then your business is like a boat that can take them from one island to another. So forest bathing is like a boat. The challenge is people say, oh, but forest bathing, this boat can go anywhere, and it can help you with stress, it could help you with anxiety, it could help you with depression, it could help you with, and the list goes on basically ad infinitum of all the benefits that you could get. And so then you're selling the boat, and unless people are already buying that boat, unless people are already really excited saying, wow, tell me all about forest bathing, or hey, I heard about forest bathing on Oprah and you do it locally, this is amazing, this is exactly what I need, you're going to be in trouble. The other trouble is the business model that she had was just people would come to a forest bathing walk. I think they'd pay, it was maybe $45. Then they would maybe pay for another one. So it was these single sessions, and she'd do them as groups. And so right off the bat, I said, well, one of the things to think about is there a particular issue out of all the issues you could help people with that you'd like to focus on? Out of all those things, because yes, there's a list of symptoms that people have when disconnected with nature. And so this is one of the ways you can get to symptoms. As a reminder, is you start with the diagnosis. Well, people are disconnected from nature. People have this nature deficit syndrome. Well, then what happens? What are the symptoms of that? And so she came up with a list, and then which ones are you most passionate about, and then which ones are you most competent in? And she did some thinking about that, and that's the kind of thing you can do as well. You just start to think about, of all the symptoms there are the ones I'm most would love to work with people on, and the ones I feel most skillful in. And then there's also the people who just really feel this urge to reconnect with nature, but maybe aren't sure how or don't make the time for it. And so one of the things I said to her that she could do is, and she was also very passionate. She said, she has a whole critique of the coaching industry, and this feeling that nature is what heals us. Nature is the coach, if you will. Nature is that was her personal story. Was she had really been struggling with life direction, where to go next, I don't know, big decisions, and then she'd gone out into nature and always gotten some answer, always gotten some next step there. And so she could do that. Hey, are you facing a big life decision? Come out on a nature walk. She could do that. If she'd gotten it through depression, maybe she might have wanted to do that. But you can pick an issue and really, instead of talking about just forest bathing, you talk about forest bathing plus this. And then you make a case that forest bathing is a really important part of healing or tending to whatever the issue is. And then, if you want to find hubs for this, of course, you could just say, well, where would I find people into forest bathing? The kind of people who'd be into forest bathing might also be into the pagan scene, probably into the permaculture scene, into the nature reconnection scene, into perhaps women's work, women's circle, women's empowerment, because I think she was more interested in working with women, all this type of thing. And I said, but what if instead of just doing it walk by walk, you had a whole year-long program, and you invited women to show up, and you said, look, I've got some coaching skills, but fundamentally, this will be a year-long process, and you'll come to it with an issue in your life, something big, something significant, something worthy. So that might be having gone through a divorce or heartbreak or death or a really, really big decision that you've got to make. And over this year, we'll be getting out in nature together. You'll be invited to connect with nature on your own in between our live get-togethers. And you're going to be looking for guidance from nature. I'll support you in trying to interpret what you got from nature. Maybe I'll ask a few good coaching questions, but fundamentally you're not coming to me for the answers, you're going to nature for the answers. But we'll create a structure for it. So could you imagine, let's say she does it locally. Now, of course, you could do the online version of this, where instead of them all going out together, she brings a group of people together online and then says, you go find a place where you would sit, where you could connect with nature, helps them even find the place, helps them, figure out which place might be the best one for them, gets that set up. But let's say she does it in person. And let's say she's got 12 women over a year and they pay her a certain amount. And once a month they go out and they do this forest bathing. But also, at the beginning of the day, she says, I just really invite you to remember why you're here, to ask yourself, why are you doing this? What's the issue? What's the thing you need help with from nature? And then they go out and they have that experience together or individually, and maybe it's different. Maybe sometimes they go on a walk together, maybe sometimes they get sent out individually, and then they come back and she's lit a fire and everybody sits around the fire and talks about what they saw, talks about what they experienced, and get to be held in community and be receiving this wisdom from nature. And she could just be asking good, appreciative questions to help draw out what it is that they're seeing. She could, like my friend Garlic Chevrier did, create little guided visualizations. So, you're sitting there with your back against a tree. I invite you to stand up and look around you and see if there's a plant that draws your attention. Take a few minutes to do this, and then, great, you have this plant, so now sit with this plant or stand with it and pay attention to its colors. Pay attention to the smell, and you could guide people through. And Garlic does this using sort of hypnotic language mixed with nature connection, and so to really open people's senses wide open, and it sounds like it's really profound. The other beautiful thing about this, and it's always good to think about what's unique about this modality or this approach that other ones can't say. And with this forest bathing or connecting in nature, if they're going to nature for the wisdom, they may never actually need to tell her why they're there. So it could be completely a secret, confidential. She could have 12 women with her the whole year and never know why they're there. There could be journaling exercise. She could create a journal just for this. There could be books to read about nature and the wisdom of nature in between sessions. She might prescribe books for them to read. So anyways, those were some of the ideas that came up. So you see how you can go from a thing like forest bathing, which is fairly generic and open and could help anyone, and you could start to craft something a little bit more, with a bit more of an arc to it. Instead of just a one-time walk, there's a bigger arc, and she could focus. She could say this is for women who are thinking about big career changes, or women facing big decisions. That's still pretty broad, but in a rural area, that might fly. Or it could be women struggling with anxiety or depression, and bringing them out once a month. And you can also probably see that if it was, let's say, women struggling with anxiety, she might offer different kinds of homework, have them read different books in between. Maybe there'd be some herbs or dietary things that might go along with that to help. If it was depression, it would be different than anxiety. If it were heartbreak, it might be a whole different set of books or a different way of coming to nature. So there you go. Hopefully that's helpful. If you have any thoughts that you think this woman might enjoy or benefit from, please put them in the comments below. And if I see enough good comments, I'll send them her way so she can take a look at it. And if you like this video, please share it out. Maybe you're in a nature connection group or some permaculture or kind of green thumbs group, and maybe they might enjoy this video in particular. Please feel free to share it there. If you'd like to see more of these videos, hit the red subscribe button and the bell icon, and you'll be notified when new videos are out. Thanks so much.